welcome to my channel. I am Trucker52 and this is Truck Smart. Today we're going to be talking about the blind spots. As you see, I have presented before you a mock-up of what the typical setting would be on most of our motorways and highways, where we share the road around commercial vehicles. In talking about the blind spots, it is more prominent for these bigger vehicles to have areas that present a challenge for the driver to both see you and for you to maneuver around them safely as you go about your day-to-day business. We have here a few vehicles. We have a huge straight truck, we have an emergency vehicle, we have a tow truck, and here we have a large commercial vehicle, reefer. At the other side here we have the common household car, commonly known by truckers as the four-wheelers. What happens when you find yourself more or less confronted with these vehicles on the highways, and I use the word confronting because some people seem to think that these vehicles are a threat to them. It doesn't have to be that way. All you have to do is to know the areas around these vehicles that are danger zones. The more proper word is the blind spots, and that is what we will be introducing to you and making sure that you know these areas and keep yourself safe, so at the end of the day everyone goes home safe. Stay tuned, we're coming right back to you here again, and we are talking again about blind spots. Now, you might or you might not know, every vehicle here in this layout has blind spots. Your common household car has blind spots. The A-pillows offer up that blind spot. But primarily what we are here to talk about today are blind spots on big commercial vehicles, because they're the ones who present a greater danger on the highway. Here we have a basic layout, multiple lanes and on-ramp, but you can see we have several different types of vehicles on the highway. So what we are going to be introducing, as I said, this is very important to you, is to know the blind spots, know the danger areas, know about those buffer zones around big commercial vehicles. Thank you. In this demonstration, we actually have the blind spots identified with the red markers. There are several blind spots around commercial vehicles, as we talked about. You know, every vehicle offers a blind spot, but we are primarily talking about commercial vehicles. So you have this area here, the driver's side, the front of the hood, and the passenger side as it tapers off to the passenger side. You also have a blind spot right here. This is considered as tailgating, and when you sit in that particular position, the driver has no idea that you are here. One of the terms that we like to use, that if you cannot see the driver's face in the mirror, he cannot see you in this blind spot. However, to bring to your attention the particular mirrors that most commercial vehicles are armed with. They have two on each side, the passenger and the driver's side, and there's one on each side of the front fender. Depending on the style of vehicle, they make vehicles. Sometimes, you know, the mirrors might be square, they might be circular, but there's one common denomination in them. They are convex mirrors, that they are kind of circular in the face of the mirror. This allows the driver kind of to fan out rather than how a normal mirror would work. It gives him a wider view. Even though that might be the case, these blind spots still present a challenge for that driver to see you. Depends on where you sit at any particular time when using this area around these vehicles. As I said before, you have this here directly behind the vehicle, and this is considered as tailgating, and this is somewhere that you do not want to sit because that driver cannot see you when you are sitting here. So here is how those mirrors that I talked about earlier, how these mirrors work. When you are sitting here, as I said before, if you approach this vehicle headed in the same direction, the driver picks you up, he comes up, you come along, you come along, you come along, you come along, you stay here in this area. he kind of loses sight of you, even though you are on his driver's side. And it might sound funny. You might think, okay, well, you're right there. How can he lose sight of me? When you start to get into this area, he can no longer see you in these mirrors. The other one is on this side, the passenger side. When you approach this vehicle, and this is for demonstration because we're using the on-ramp. If you came onto the on-ramp here, he would obviously been moving forward, and he would have seen you on your approach, but he can no longer move over because there's a car sitting on the other side of the blind spot, on the other side of the vehicle. So you come here, and you come along, and you come along, and you come, and this is where I have a problem, is where people, in using the on-ramp, take a little bit either too late to merge, or they merge too fast. And this is something that you need to be monitoring from the time you approach this area here. You should be watching the flow of traffic. You should already have calculated what the movement of the vehicles to your right, to your left is, and negotiate whether you need to reduce your speed or to increase your speed. Because here we have this scenario. You're sitting in the blind spot of this vehicle. You delay there for some length of time, but then all of a sudden you want to move over here to merge safely on the direct flow of traffic. But he also now has this vehicle who has delayed his maneuver in passing this vehicle. This driver now has to slam on his brake. Now here is where this driver here presents himself with a serious and upcoming danger, because he's sitting right here in this blind spot. He does not calculate that these two vehicles, this one and this one, has come in conflict. To you it might not seem that way, but to this driver here, who has to control this length and size and weight vehicle, he has to negotiate safely. He cannot switch to his right side, and here he has this driver who now is taking a risky maneuver to cut this vehicle off. So these are how all of the areas in and around these vehicles can either work against you or work for you. And that's why we have to be truck smart, so that knowing your blind spots, knowing how to merge, knowing how to either give the driver enough time to flow past the merge, and you would then filter yourself in behind. But most often we find drivers trying to rush up to this point, not recognizing that this driver cannot move over to the right side because he has another vehicle sitting on that driver's side. Thank you.